500.
Yeah, just north of you.
First
So
house?
you got a subcontract.
I believe it's the first house.
He just called it a compact.
6,000
It's about the size of white kids' dining room.
Yeah.
It's got a bird on it. It's got a trailer thick
So-
handle on the frame, stuff like that. If I had, the whole, from the whole back to the frame.
Oh, okay.
The one that carries. Does any bigger companies that also
No, this is a compact, not a subcompact, because Bob said they make two different sizes.
so they make a model 21 and then they.
But he said, it's 400 bucks. He said that, always went up. 400 bucks. Because the guy was already up for Bob said it was such a good deal. He said, this is now fast time to if you want.
Yeah, we haven't done one in the cars.
Yeah, I'll like it.
Regular.
So I give it to him, so I give it to him, that's why he walked in, give him.
Actually, it's
Give him the check, yeah, one time, I did the
Yeah.
license to purchase. Huh? There was like three different faults on it that I read.
one of the big ones we did in New York.
There's four, I think I ran into three of the faults, the rest were all approved. One of the ones that got me,
There's about 40 soldiers and then there.
one of the ones that got me, and I don't remember what it was. No, that one I knew better.
Yeah, and it's money.
It may have been stolen, you know,
but not more.
And I said fault.
Looking at the
You
ordinance.
end up being just a big community. People you work with.
A year.
You know, maybe once a month you might work.
Yeah, I know, yeah, I knew that was fault, yeah, I knew that.
They're a lot of fun.
Oh, we're gonna trust you guys on property. What are you gonna say?
The red light's gonna come
Yep,
up.
yep.
And it'll go, I just turned it back off.
Nice
It's completely off. Only
Yep,
this one.
there's a reception, there's a very formal way of kind of how you get received, the guest of honor, usually outside, is
I think
the
that.
banquet hall, and so everybody goes through, you know. This is my wife, Tina, and
Oh, okay.
introduce them, walk them along.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice reason to.
It's still bored out.
Very nice.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it. I gotta get my uniform back from the cleaners.
Yeah, did you bring it in time? So we-
Yeah, we-
Yeah, it should be okay.
Hi, Anthony.
That'll be okay. Yeah.
Good for the next Tuesday with me. It's going on my
I'm
card.
gonna be Friday because we already have.
Yeah, like you do my luck.
I will.
It's not full. He said it was a compact, not the
Yeah,
sub.
we'll see how this goes tonight. Take care, set back up.
Yeah, I know one.
Keep working, just spring and summer.
I got the subcontract.
He told me my hands were.
Definitely probably do some advertising.
Mitchell called me and said, you know, I
Like
read.
Randy's busy working on the target schedule and set.
That's what my wife wants.
Ron, you still buying and
No,
selling
I
then or what?
haven't. Bob,
Are you still buying and selling or you doing more selling?
And that was just that was small.
That's what people are expecting.
I'll make you a really good deal on one right now.
You buying private, well, maybe.
Right on the corner of Chestnut and
How can you get a West Street?
West Street. Yeah, in Pelican. I'm telling you, I'll make you a really good deal on it, if you could.
Which one? Also told me.
The dumpster, I see it. There's one. I see it. Robert's over there.
Roberts, Williams, yep, paying them at one time.
I see the thing in the paper, a couple of weeks ago. Yes.
The only thing I didn't realize.
I'm done with all that, lawyers got that settled and all.
He showed me since I.
I'm good.
Double trigger. Good. And I didn't, I don't know how long I like that or not. But I'm not.
No, I got her at the point now, she's ready for a sale sign in it.
Because I'm not gonna. I don't have a CLP, so.
Yeah.
But Bob did tell me when I buy this gun, he said, you got a free ticket in. For the class. I probably will do it.
Well, Rick knows you a lot of hell.
I probably will do it now, because like I said, now it's free.
All dressed up, know where to go?
You get a free ticket in with that when you buy the gun. And he's gonna go over everything with me. He didn't even bring me a box of shells. That's got to be expensive now. But I think he reloads for it. Doesn't Bob reload it now? Yeah.
For a year and a half, I sat out there, was the only one besides,
Funny, you got a lot
See what?
I said, what city is this?
These will be from Mr. Brewer.
My ex-wife is a I love visual.
Under public comment, he was going to
She's answered it up there. Is she brought it?
You waterfront.
Yeah, waterfront.
Yeah, waterfront.
Yeah. That's what I told Lanny when we were building the house across the street. Here she got waterfront property, hurry up and sell it for her.
Well, see, I don't see a problem, this is drawing here,
They made 5
85
words around going through the court.
I asked him, who built it? I don't know.
I don't think he built it, he bought it. It was buying it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Harold Oliver actually built it.
And I would have.
Oh, the one from Bob Bailey,
Some people
yeah.
start
They got
to.
5 times sold in the property.
That's the.
It was more like 30 years ago.
So you're on the road, what was his last name?
Also has to do
Okay.
with. You might ask him, hey, what do I have?
You want to know what you have to do? Who's going to get that?
Sure. Do I do it from this company or that company?
We have a little bit of zoning board business to do, so I'll call to order that body. And then we'll adjourn that business and then go into our regular scheduled meeting. Roll call, just note that everybody is here. Last meeting, Joe resigned as zoning board chairperson, and this is to appoint a new ZBA chairman. And I'm going to open it up for volunteers, if anybody would like to volunteer for that. Nobody did, so any suggestions as to how we're going to fill that position?
Can we make nominations?
We can make nominations. That's what you would like to do.
No, I'll get hit later.
Okay.
I'll volunteer, Larry.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Melissa Zelnick as ZBA chairman. Support.
Support. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. Motion to adjourn? Unless there's is there any public comment? Okay. Bill made the motion to adjourn.
Support.
Support by Zelenak. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, I'll call the regular meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For the record, note that all are here that are supposed to be here. I need to make a couple of changes to the agenda. We've got a typo under new business, raising water rates from 24.48 to 24.74. And then 3 items added to the action items. Increase our contribution for USDA grant, which is the grant that's paying for much of the new police chief car.
Is that half?
Yeah.
Scott will talk more about that. That's F. G, Township Utilities, we have a bill from them that we will discuss further. And then H, to sell the old police car. Need to have the agenda approved as amended.
I'd like to make an amendment to that also, in new business or just discussion items more than anything. C, event permits, and D, seasonal employment status, and unemployment exempt status.
Seasonal and
Unemployment exempt statuses.
Anybody else? Need a motion to approve the amended agenda?
Make a motion to accept the agenda. Approve the agenda as amended.
Need a support?
I'll support.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. Okay, we had two sets of minutes last meeting. One was a public hearing for the budget. Need a motion to approve.
I'll make that.
Motion by Zelenak, support by
I'll second.
Bill. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion's carried. Need to approve the minutes of the last regular board meeting on February 11th, 2015.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Leela. Is there support?
Second that.
Support by Bodley. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Okay, public comment. Anybody have something they'd like to talk? Mr. Brewer, would you like to present your?
Sure, you listen?
Yeah.
I think everybody knows me. Owned these apartments on Howard Street for roughly about 22 years. And we've always had a water sort of situation. I don't remember how long ago they paved Ballard Street to the west, and they curved it. So when they curved it, the water comes down, but it's got no way to cross Howard Street. So the water turns on Howard Street, goes west about 30 feet, and then it crosses over Howard into the apartment property. Now, the village put a dry well in there, I think about the time I don't know if you remember, Sam, or not, about the time they paved Ballard. But it's worked pretty good over the years, except for when we get heavy rains. And I don't know if you can tell by the pictures is what's happened. It washes a lot of water down in heavy rains, and quite a bit of it goes into the dry well, and a lot of it's left where we gotta clean it up every time. But the dry well, I think it seems to be getting full. Sam, about 3 or 4 years ago, he run a pipe off the dry well. I think it was a 4-inch pipe. Get it behind the side department, get it out where it does work. But we got some serious problems. I think all we need is one monsoon rain, and it's gonna go right into the apartments. It's faded almost up to the door a couple times. I don't have pictures of that. But every time it rains, it's always flooded. People gotta walk in the water to get in their cars. And also it floods the other corner on the northwest corner, and floods the street, goes back into the garage on the other side. So something's gotta be done, otherwise we're gonna have a serious problem on this street.
You can agree that we won't get anything done this spring, but I think it is serious enough that we should look into it. We'll probably have to hire an engineer, come in and assess the situation, and make recommendations, and then come back to us to pay for whatever that's gonna cost to take care of it.
Well, I'm made to believe this is gonna happen for the last 2 or 3 years,
Okay,
and nothing's happened.
okay.
You're gonna have an engineer look at it this year?
I'll promise you that we'll have an engineer look at it this year.
That was great. Any questions?
Ron, when did this flooding start anyways?
It's been there.
It's been there for quite a few years.
Has it gotten
The problem
worse after
is,
the repaving,
No.
better?
we haven't repaved the intersection. The reason being is because the intersection's higher than all 4 corners. The water has nowhere to go when it comes down the road. Like Ron said, Pete had paved the road going up to the baseball diamond. That's the road Ron was talking to. When he paved it, he put blacktop wings on the road. When you put blacktop wings on the road, you contain the water has nowhere to run but down the hill. It goes down the hill, across the intersection, runs into Ron's apartments, runs into Nicole's garage. When we re-blacktopped the road up by the school 2 years ago, we only went to the very beginning of the intersection because we knew we had a water issue. That's why we did not go through the intersection. We figured we'd get it paved up to that point, and then we'll work on that intersection to try to somehow figure out a way to get that water to go out of there but it's gonna definitely take an engineering firm to figure it out. Because there's a lot of different grades that have to be matched, but keep in mind, when you do that, you send water down to the next block that doesn't have any wings on it either. So now you diverted the water to another issue. That's why I say I think you really need to get an engineer involved in this one to figure out the proper grades.
Well, at no time does the water run over Howard Street and go down Ballard Street. it'll overflow on both sides of the property, then goes down. But I've been watching the last couple of days, it pretty well runs all the way down, like, with the, what do you call it, wings? It runs all the way down the M88, and they have a catch basin on the corner of M88 and Ballard Street. There's a catch basin in both places.
To a point. But Alan Hawthorne's house, it crosses and goes into his yard, so now you create another problem down the road. So that's why I think you really need to get an engineer involved to figure out them grades, and, because they can pitch them any way they want.
Does this water come from the hills in the back, you think, or does it come?
It comes down out of the yards, out of the blacktop,
Sort of
off the hills, in the spring of the year, they're all running now, so it's everywhere. Runs out onto the road, runs down into the
It's
rock.
about 600 feet of water from the west that comes down the road. Plus it washes the sand out, there's a gravel driveway to the west end, and it brings dirt out of that each time.
And French drains were put in that do absolutely nothing. 12 years ago.
I promise that we'll look into it.
Thank you.
You've got one of these.
Any other public comment? Mr. Moon?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I've got the same issue there on M88, the way they tilted it in my yard. My whole front yard's been flooded a couple times. Almost into the basement. That culvert's not big enough to take it out of there.
Okay.
The other one would be a nuisance. Well, I was downstate for a month, come back, I had a letter in the mail. Stating I had a couch on what I was told now was county property, so. Wasn't my couch, I got the letter in the mail, I've got worse behind my house. It's already been stated to the cop that's sitting to the right of me here.
I understand that the bank owns that, correct?
Not both lots, sir.
They own the house over where the garbage is at.
Nope, garbage on both lots, sir. I've asked you for last month to come up there.
Well, the bank has been up there and.
And he said he was gonna take care of it, and never did. And that was back in October and November, and I brought that to his attention. So I'm just wondering why I got a letter, and no one else does up there, and they all have to take care of their garbage when it is theirs.
No,
And this isn't mine.
I believe we sent out about 90 letters, was it, in November, for everybody around town where there were problems. Most everybody has taken care of their problems.
Well, this has been a problem for 20 years now.
Well, I understand that. If you would cooperate with us, because it's my understanding that when the banks showed up, you wouldn't let them cross your property.
No, I had a cop there with another officer willing to push that car that I drove today out of the way for them to proceed up with a dumpster. I would not let them turn around on my sewer field. So I wish people would get that straight, and that paperwork is out in my car if you need to see that work.
Okay,
And I told you about that.
right.
I've got a grinder pump that's failed 5 times since I've been there for 30 years. Grinder pumps last longer than, 5 years.
Okay.
So that was not supposed to be a driveway, it was a drive-through. And they willingly blocked the other end off, and that's been an issue that I was told by him. It's another thing, and I took it to court and went through mediations years after years after years, and still haven't got a resolvement out of the issue.
Well, I'll give you the same promise I gave Mr. Brewer, is that we will continue to look into it.
Alright, I just don't want no conflict of interest, and I want a straight deal, I want everyone treated equal.
Not a problem.
Alright, thank you, sir.
The flooding that you talked about in this one, there's an M88, then, you think?
That's the pond rising.
No, it's from all the water from M88, from across the road there where your little turnaround is, they've got it all pitched towards my house now. I've got pictures when they did it back in '96. They've been pretty reasonable by taking stuff out, but I've had to go through MDOT because our commission, our county boys here failed to keep up what the old county commission guy used to do. So now I've got to go over his head to get something done, like the weed whipping inside there, because they can't throw down weed kill anymore. You know, I'm trying to keep it to a zoning, you know, keep the grass, keep that nice, everyone's commenting on that front yard coming into town.
Yeah.
So I like to keep it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? Good. Police report, Scott?
Great, thank you. Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at February 2015 report. Pretty typical month, or fifth month, February usually a little slower for us. So we caught on some year-end paperwork at the beginning of the year paperwork. Some time spent on our USDA grant and also the tribal grant. You'll see in the comments down there, we did receive the tribal grant to the tune of $5,500. And that buys the camera for the car and the body camera for the officer. If you remember me talking, they're two separate cameras, but they work together. It's kind of a pretty neat state-of-the-art system. It's all digital, and it'd be a nice asset for evidence purposes and just everything that we need to use it for. So that we did get the grant for that. We did actually receive the money for that, so we have it actually put into our tribal account for our tribal grant account. So it's sitting there waiting for the camera to be purchased. That price reflects, I think it's like $5,000 for the camera, and about $500 to install that camera, so that's where you want $500. So, on there, it also talks about the no decision made on the USDA grant, and I did the report up, and now I have some additional information, and we'll talk about it a little bit. But we did get approval for the car, the Pro Car grant, but at a reduced rate. We'll talk about that a little bit, what that actually means and what it actually has to do there. So kind of good news that we got the grant for the car and the grant for the equipment to go in the car. So some training throughout the month, and just up at school, spending some time up there with school activities and stuff like that. Any questions?
Anybody have anything?
Great, thank you.
DPW, Sam?
Kind of a short report for DPW, pretty much all frozen water services, or frozen meter pits, or frozen up water somehow or another. The number was 82 as of tonight. It's up to 89 complaints on frozen waters.
Yeah, I got a comment on that, sir, not to interrupt him. Why we didn't have a run, water?
We did.
Really? Because I run mine since mine froze one time, I ran water in 2 drains. And everybody around me freezes, and I was always the first one to freeze.
It's been posted online, it's been posted in the post office.
Did you give them flyers in the mail maybe? Maybe they didn't know it, because if they don't see it, they don't know it.
It was called into the news station, so it's been on TV.
I haven't seen it on, that's why I'm saying, I didn't see it on the TV, I've seen everyone but that, I don't have the internet to do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised it wouldn't be on there, but I'm just saying, I didn't have any knowledge of it being on either.
We tried to get it as widespread as possible when it happened, so. Sorry.
Because it costs a lot of money for when it does, I understand that.
Okay, Sam.
You kind of see a breakdown, 89. Of the 89 now, look at C on there, you'll see frozen up water services. That is from the main to the meter pit. That new number is 24. That means them service pipes are froze under the blacktop road. So odds are in the spring of the year, we're gonna have a lot of leaks we're gonna be digging up. And to date, on there, we still have only one resident in town without water. The other one is a vacant house that's up for sale. So I'm very proud to say we got 87 people that were froze up on pod and got water still running in their houses right now. Two frozen sewer complaints is actually 3 now, because we had a line break over at the library. We had a frozen sewer main over there, which we got that all dug up today and repaired, but the main is still froze. So until then, we're doing them 2 tanks with garden hoses over into our lift station. And Rod's gonna talk about the broken water. And I would ask the board to consider, myself and Steve lost vacation days due to all the water freeze-ups. 20-some years with the village, I've never come and asked to be compensated for my vacation days. We have a policy, if you don't use them, you lose them. But Steve lost 2 days and I lost 10.5 days. And the reason I lost mine is the water freeze-ups. It was more important for me to get water to everybody than get paid for them vacation days. And I'm coming to the board and asking to at least consider compensating the two of us out for our vacation days. That's it for my report.
Anybody have any comments, questions?
Do we need to make a motion for that, or is it something that the committee discusses?
I would make it something committee discusses and we'll make a decision later. DDA report, Corey?
The DDA met on 3/4/15. We only really had 2 items that we're discussing. As you know, there's been some discussion around the DDA and Planning Commission. So we had a meeting and discussed that, and the reports that I think everybody's seen, we kind of voiced what we thought. We're concerned about businesses losing their voice on what happens with their tax dollars downtown, and the residency requirement would eliminate most businesses from having eligible members to join the DDA. Northern League's Economic Alliance recommends against combining boards. The council president indicated there's approximately $14,000 set aside for combined DDA Planning Commission. And if the DDA Planning Commission did not combine, he said that we'd want to reevaluate where those dollars went. And several of the DDA members were concerned that because we wouldn't vote to combine them, we would lose existing funding. Discussion on the reason why this change has to be made. There's no clear, concise, defined reason. And then I guess there's been some interest in the Planning Commission. There's been some letters of interest. And then, as a board, the DDA voted to recommend the village council that we remain separate from the Planning Commission for at least 9 months and reevaluate that. Most DDA members indicated they were submitting letters of interest to join the Planning Commission. And so the other thing we talked about was the ice skating rink. Chamber planned an event on the skating rink to raise money for maintenance. I guess that event's been canceled at this point. We didn't know about this in advance, but everybody was very pleased that that was actually happening. There's a lot of good praise. The chamber did a good job there. And then just to future events like that involve DDA equipment should be scheduled with the DDA. So that's what we discussed.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
I do, regarding the NLEA, where you say they don't recommend that, Corey, where do we find that at?
Well, there was an email.
I'm looking at this email, but I don't see where they've officially said that's a bad idea, don't do it. There's a couple of varying opinions here. One says their planning commission does act as a DDA, and then we have another letter from another lady. So I'm just looking for an NLEA person that says that's a bad idea,
I don't
don't
have
do
the email
it.
in front of me.
Fourth paragraph from one Bethany Pearson, third paragraph. After putting this question out to various forums and discussing with the leadership downtown organization, it seems that most people do not recommend going this route, the route being combining, since the 2 boards are generally supposed to be performing 2 different functions, period. There was a lot of discussion regarding the, quote, voice of the businesses, unquote, getting lost under this model.
And I guess as a clarification for that too, this, back about 3 months ago when this was first recommended by Larry, I asked for a month to get some information, and this is just now with the NELA just got back to us with.
This, what's in our hand right here now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, this is what they responded to my question of what do they think of it. Part of the reasoning for the delay in this is this Bethany Pearson, or persons, just took over the area doing stuff. Trying to think of her name that was doing it before, but it eludes me at the moment.
Sarah Christensen?
No, Sherry Rose is retired. No, it's,
Ken Kellogg?
nope, but keep going, guys, we almost got it. No, it eludes me right now, but she told me just to wait that this Bethany was coming on. I believe Bethany was, if I remember correctly, was the DDA chairman of Charlevoix County for quite some time. So,
Any other questions?
Yeah. According to your minutes here, you have discussion of attrition rate for the first year, discussion how to overcome. Do you guys have any thoughts on how to overcome the attrition rate and get people back, or?
We really haven't advertised that we're looking for anybody at this point. We really just, we had two of them that are off the DDA because they served a one-year term, they didn't want to renew that. And then there's a couple that left for other reasons. So you're always gonna have that. Going forward, if the DDA stays as a DDA, one of the things that's unique about it is you only have to have an interest in the downtown area. So somebody that works, like, let's say at Village Market, could come and serve on the DDA board, even if they don't live in Central Lake. The idea behind the DDA Act is that the businesses can help control what happens to their tax dollars and improve their downtown area, and improve, everyone's situation. And changing the overlay planning commission actually changes it and adds that residency requirement. And if you look downtown at how many businesses are owner operated that live inside of the village of Central Lake, it's not very few.
Any other questions or comments? I'm sure there's gonna be more discussion since this item is on the action items. Okay, thank you, Corey. Correspondence. I have received from the interim review a request to advertise in their summer publication, which is going to concentrate on 3 communities in the county, Alden, Bel Air, and Central Lake. You will all get copies of this, and their deadline is April 10th. Our next meeting is April 8th, so that gives us some time to think about it. I'll get a little more information, and we'll do it next month. So that is correspondence that I received.
we opted out of that last year, correct?
That's my understanding of it, was opted out of last year, so. Received a flyer on a citizen planner course being offered through Torch Lake Township, or at Torch Lake Township, through the MSU Extension Citizen Planner. It costs $295 per participant, and Brian Graham, when he was here in January, said that he could provide training for a combined DDA Planning Commission board. He didn't give us an exact fee, but my guess is that it'd probably be $300 roughly for everybody that shows up, as opposed to $295 for each individual that would go to this. So I think we can make some decisions down the road, but that is correspondence received. I also received an email from MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation, Traverse City office, with respect to a building that's being proposed in a residential area. At this point in time, I talked with the MDOT lady this afternoon, maybe, I don't remember when I called her, sometime today. And she said generally they wait for the community to respond or ask for their input for something like this. And after I got done talking to her and explained to her what was going on, this company that's proposing this has to go through our channels, which they've been in touch with Scott, the zoning administrator, to fill out the paperwork and carrying it on. So MDOT says, we'll just hold off until they go through your process. Probably we'll have a little more comment on that as well as we progress through this meeting.
Do we have a copy of that in our packet, that
No, you don't.
correspondence?
You do not. No, we got just one copy here, but everybody will get it.
Okay.
That's all. So, and that's all the correspondence that I think. Committee reports, Rob, street sidewalk.
With 24 broken water mains underneath the roads right now, I think Sam and I agree we should hold off looking at a plan to start paving roads until all those lines are dug up and the road is put back together, and instead of paving something and having it come back up and tear it up again. So nothing on roads, nothing on streets, and the sidewalk in front of the school, well, that's because Rod's water is bubbling up under my sidewalk.
Thank you, Rod, sewer and water.
All right, Rob mentioned the water bubbling up under the sidewalk. Rob and Sam and Joe and I went there and looked at it Sunday, and right now, the pavement's heaved a little bit, there's a pretty good crack, but it's running down the street, it's going to sewer, going to the drain. In order to fix it right now, as Sam spoke about the library today, he was lucky to get a 2x4 hole dug to be able to fix one. The ground is so bad. And by Brian's Barber Shop, that line's 7 foot deep when we put in the streetscape and it's froze, so. In order to do that, one, he contacted Elmer's, two, you have to come out of the backhoe and hammer it out. You'd have to shut the water off, and it would jeopardize the school and 23 homes from the water tower down. In order to fix that, it's probably not a quick fix. So we've elected to wait until spring break to revisit, and school will be down for a week, and maybe the ground is let go. If the weather keeps up, we might be pretty fortunate, so. I know Sam talked to Larry, it's been discussed, and we've all agreed that it's probably in the best interest of everybody from west of the school up to that we just hold off. And it's not causing any issues, it's not damming up anywhere, it's not flooding anything, it's going right straight down against the curb and the drain, so.
I'll add to that, in that if we tried to fix it when it was first found, we would not have had the equipment to dig the hole to fix it. We would have had to hire Buffins or Elmer, someone like that that had bigger equipment. And we would have had to shut the water down somewhere down near downtown. We could have isolated it and kept everybody with water except from one direction that was going east to west, on State Street and most of downtown. And when we would have shut that water off, and it was at below zero weather,
Sorry about that.
it would have ended up, most of the town would not have had water, everybody would have froze up. So yes, I've heard some complaints with respect that we're not doing anything up there, but we're not doing anything up there because by doing something, it would have cost us even greater. So that's why.
Anyway, Sunday, like you said, that little map that's been there since the school's been redone, the new gym's put on, the locker rooms are gone. I don't know if you've determined yet, Sam, but you didn't know if it was a 2-inch line, 4-inch line, what the heck's even under there, how deep it is. Have no idea what kind of hornet's nest you're getting to.
Right now, I can tell you, there's tons of concrete and tons of blacktop holding it down from going up in the air like Caesar's Palace Mountain, so we have control of the water.
Thank God Rob's sidewalks there.
If we go down,
You're welcome.
and just to shut it down, we would affect 23 residential service lines and businesses. And right now, I had 3 more freeze up in the last 24 hours, so I know if we shut it down now, we're gonna freeze up, odds are, 23 service lines.
It's not hurting nothing.
And we have the water under control, the pump run cycle on and off is 5 minutes longer, is all it is. And I'm sure it's gonna be a stress kick crack, perfectly straight in the pipe, in the cast iron pipe, that's why, and that's what they do, they call it a stress crack. And they're spraying out around the edges and then when we go in and excavate, odds are it's gonna drop, and that's when you're gonna see the huge gusher. So right now, if we leave it alone, we have it under control.
And the water
taking some of the frost out of it.
And water's taking, across out of the ground as we wait.
There's not a lot of sand bubbling up to the top, boiling out everything, so it's.
Anything else, Rob?
No, that's all I got. Sand patching.
Law enforcement rule?
Chief spoke on most of the stuff Jerry had. 12 new ordinance violations, notice was sent out. 8 of them were corrected and leaves 4 outstanding yet. Patrol car was down for cooling issues again, leaking coolant. He's got that back up and running again, and hopefully the problem's fixed. They used up some vacation hours before the end of the fiscal year. That's about it.
Melissa, vacation?
We're going to have a meeting tonight, but Joe had to work a little late, so you have in front of you what would have been our agenda. We'll reschedule after the meeting today. I'll ask the guys when we'll meet again. Things we had on there you can read, discussing some policy stuff, reviewing the communications policy, getting a monthly meeting schedule together, ideally sometime soon after the council meeting, so that things that go on here, we can make a plan to make known to the public. Clarify what some committee roles are, maybe develop some standard operating procedures for information that's coming in and going out to the public. And this was the last thing, letter F. I had talked to a couple of senior citizens who are having a hard time sometimes hearing people that are in the audience, and they just asked that if people could maybe remember to go up to the microphone or speak up a little bit. And another one was, it's difficult for some people to hear if you guys are chatting at that end and I'm chatting at this end, so if we could maybe just take our turn and chat so that the people can hear.
Who's she talking about?
That's it. Oh, well, actually, there was another thing. I've got an email from the Paddle Antrim, that's just telling me about that event that's coming on. And also I went ahead and printed an event schedule out for the chamber. I think Susie will probably come next month, maybe the next month, and talk further about that, but wanted to get that to everybody, so you have it.
Thank you. Joe, finance?
Spent quite a bit of time just looking at different aspects of the village. One of them that Larry also brought up is the utility and rent billings from the township. I also talked with a Mike Pearsall or Pearson, I'm sure I'll mess that up, on our unemployment status stuff. I attended the DDA meeting, tried to get a little more aware of some of the things going on there and what we're looking at. And just looked at the new revenue and expenditures, and pretty much that was my mom. And we'll discuss most of that later.
Leland Parks?
Okay, we had a meeting in February for the committee and discussing the problems that we have down at the park. Also, the reservation system is a little bit kind of touchy at times. However, we do have a lot of reservations already. I don't have the paperwork on that. I would like to have, I think Todd knows more about those figures than I do because he was here and I've been out of state for a few days, so I couldn't get caught up. So can you give me that figure?
Yeah, you want me to just rattle it off quick?
Yeah, go ahead, rattle it
All
off
right.
right quick.
Rachel put together a breakdown of every campsite in the campground and the revenue generated and the difference in revenue from 2013 to 2014. Overall, the difference in revenue, from 2013 to 2014, there's an 8% increase overall in revenue. We looked a little further, and the reservation system, actually Rachel did, and what she did is she went through and saw how the length of stays were. And on average, the waterfront length of stays were averaging 6 days. And the reason I bring this up is because in the past there was discussion about the 4-day minimum reservation along sites 2 through 10, which are along the water. So this data indicates to us that people are already reserving campsites longer than the 4-day minimum anyways. So we're not turning anybody away because of the minimum 4-day stay that we have allotted on those highly desired sites. Furthermore, I went through and looked at sites where we lost money in 2014 as compared to 2014. We had we had 9 sites that lost money compared to 2013. So then I went back and said, okay, when were we losing our money? Typically, we're losing them at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season. September at the end of the season, and also in May at the beginning of the season. That's when we seem to have a little difference. Other than that, the time between that, all our sites were booked approximately the same between 2013 and 2014. Another strange anomaly we had was at Site 14 in 2013. We had a 21-day stay in October. Joe just informed me it was some construction workers, so what I did then is I took that piece of data out of the equation because that was an anomaly that normally wouldn't happen. So if I took that piece of the data out of the equation to determine how much money we actually made as compared to 2013, we actually had a 9% increase from last year. So we're doing really well.
We did talk about possibly lowering the rate in May and September to get more people to come in at those particular times. And Lyle will be up here in April. At that time, we'd like to have a meeting with him and make sure that everything's going according to what we want it to. However, we are going to have another Parks meeting this month, probably towards the end of the month.
You can probably schedule it after.
Yeah, it'll have to be in the last week, okay?
Yeah.
That's it.
Can I ask some questions here?
Yep.
I see as number 3 here, develop, drive, call, and walk-in reservation system. That's would be number 3A.
Oh, that one, yeah. That's
I'm
what,
thinking, is that what Sunrise Reservation is?
Well, if someone drives down there, what's the procedure? I mean, when we met, there was some agreement that there was a challenge in communication between Lyle and the clerk. We just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. If this person drives in, is Lyle calling Rachel? Is Rachel going down there? Is Lyle doing it on the computer? Who knows what's going
Lyle's
on?
got full access for all reservations. He can make reservations, he can make discounts, he has every access to make a reservation and cancel them as she does.
that's the understanding I had, that he did not have that right.
He's got full access to make all that. We made sure of that.
Okay.
Well, when he comes back, we can clarify
I
those
think
things.
so. It
I
has
mean, I
to
think
be-
we had a really great meeting. I can't thank the two of you enough. We did some good
We
business.
did, okay.
My other question's gonna be coming to the April meeting with Lyle, and you say he's
Okay.
coming up in April.
Yes.
Is he coming up to stay in April, is he just
He
coming up?
said he will bring his trailer up and park it, but he's coming up to beforehand in order
Okay.
to have a meeting with us.
Okay, that'll help later in the
Okay.
seasonal employment deal.
And I don't, as far as the grants, I haven't heard any more about the grants on the park, so
I don't get clarity, I don't know.
that's something still in the works.
That was all I had, thank you.
That's excellent data, by the way.
Thank you.
On to my report. I'd like to first thank Bill Chapman for sitting in for me last month when I was not here. As near as I can tell, everything with the village didn't fall apart, so we're still in good shape, so. And secondly, I'd like to thank Sam and his crew for the work that they've done in the last month.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Amen.
Yep. Since you asked about the grant, the park grant, quiet title action was initiated, and there have been 2 responses from Rushtons who have had an interest in the past, back in the 1800s, by a Rushton name. Then there's been one other one that had a different name than Rushton, but claimed that there was some shirt tail relation. first one's willing to sign off on anything that we want to do down there. The second one, I was asked by the attorney to make contact with both of them. The second one did not respond back. So I did not talk to Peter Wendling, who's handling this, the attorney. I didn't talk to him about that at this point. I think they sent paperwork out to the Rustons that responded, and I'm not sure what he has done with the other one whose name was Bunce, I think, B-U-N-C-E. So, but I believe that the fact that they didn't respond back after their initial contact, that should allow him to clear title, and from that point, we can proceed with our grant. So, I'd have to double check with him before I really say that that's what's gonna happen. But I think the way I understood it, that's what's gonna happen. I've been approached by VFW, and they're asking for the council's permission to turn the lot that we just acquired from Alden State Bank north of the bank. If they could use that as a VFW memorial site, and would we, by allowing that, would we provide electricity to it and any maintenance that that lot might have down the road. Their process through this whole thing is still in the very beginning stages. They approached the township. The township gave them a site down next to the cemetery down here, but my understanding is that their loose-knit committee have rejected that, and they're looking at this site downtown for that. But there's a lot more work that has to be done. I bring that up to you just to say that's talk that's going on in town. There's gonna be more talk. And nothing is written anywhere.
We're gonna talk about this in C, right? 12C?
Yes, but we're not going to, based on my information. We're not gonna, we won't have to make any action at this point in time. It's on there. We'll talk more about it, okay?
All right.
I've been contacted by a representative from a company that is trying to establish a business in a residential area on Main Street, from Colbert Street to Ballard Street. That's what we talked about a little bit earlier. I've been in contact with NDOT because of that, which I have told you already. That company has to go through our channels before we have to respond back. But I'm letting you know that's something that the ZBA more than likely will end up having to make a decision on, and that's us. So, but from what I can gather, they're proposing to knock down the 3 houses that are on that and put in a building and parking lot. So it's probably something the planning commission, the DDA, everybody's gonna have some input into this before it's all done. This isn't their first rodeo. As MDOT said, it's not our first rodeo, and I don't think it's our first rodeo. So, I think they were trying to do an end around on us by getting a hold of MDOT. Scott's been in touch with them, and I'm sure there's gonna be more discussion. So. And we've got, under action item, utilities from the township. It's my understanding that when this building was built and the township agreed to rent our space, the village's space in this building, we were to pay so much a month, and plus 10% of the utilities. We've never been billed for the utilities, so they're asking for that money now. again, we'll get more into it when we get to action.
They're not asking for a prorated, are they?
No, they've